Alright guys, Jake here. We're back at the house. We've got the Kawasaki Bayou or the KLF 220 plastics that have been bedlined in U-Pole's bedliner. Back at the house, we're going to go ahead and get these installed here in a few minutes. A couple of you asked me off of the channel what I used in order to prep the surface of them. I used an 80 grit sandpaper on a DA, which is a dual action sander, and before we sprayed the bedliner, I did cover it in a plastic adhesion promoter, so we've got high hopes that it'll go ahead and stay on there. A couple of you also asked, why do they call me Bubba Shrek? Well, for one, that's the daily right there. We'll get into that in another. But this is Bubba. There actually is a story behind the Bubba Shrek, but this seems to apply. This being Bubba. If we go inside the shop, as you can see, there's Shrek. So both Dodges, both Mopars. The green one here I have actually owned since 1998. 21 years that's been in my possession, and it's been through a lot of changes as time's gone on. So, but without further ado, I'm going to grab the 8-year-old that will be riding the Bayou, which you see behind you, and we're going to go ahead and get these plastics installed. Start to make it look like a bike again instead of just a hunk. Got the plastics right here on the floor, ready to go. And there's one thing I wish I had. Well, two things actually. One would be heat in my garage, because I'm freezing right now. It is a balmy 38 degrees outside, and it feels even colder inside the shop here. The other would be a new Ram mug. I accidentally put this one through the dishwasher, so if anyone wants to send me a Ram mug for Christmas, it would be graciously appreciated. We'll be right back. Alright guys, we're back. I've got Mr. Mason. He's going to be assisting me in rebuilding this. Getting these plastics installed. We're also going to replace the top motor mount. He is doing the twist on one of the stools. With the garage door closed, we do have my tribute to the late great Jessie Combs. I did have the opportunity to meet her at SEMA. She was an awesome gal. Definitely the fastest woman on earth. Get a close up here. That was SEMA last year. Mr. Mason apparently is prepped. He wants to do some welding. You ready to get this thing put together? Alright. You want to get the motor mount done first? You don't know? What you more excited about? A motor mount or getting your bedline plastics installed? Number two, that would be, I guess, the bedline plastics. Alright. Now what we've got in terms of the motor mount, as I mentioned, is this upper motor mount right here. On the bottom, one of the tabs that holds it on is gone, and the through bolt is completely missing. So thanks to our good friends at eBay, I was able to find one for relatively cheap. They are still available, but this is a budget build, and we've got the one right here that will replace it. Alright, now for the sake of video and time, we've already got the upper motor mount loose, which, if anybody knows anything about Kawasaki, they love their Phillips screws. This right here was a Phillips that was being held in. After years of crud corrosion, it did not want to come out, so it did not play nicely. There is a keeper that holds the breather tube. It was off of this particular bike, which is why there is a lot of oil residue combined with mud and dirt. So we'll go ahead and get this off of here. You do have to pull the front plastic and the front tank in order to get to this, which is why we have not installed the plastics yet. So this is what we've got. Is this mount with a broken tab And this is what we're replacing it with. This is a used one. It's off of 2011, but they are identical. So we'll go ahead and get the new one down in here. Gonna get around the cables. See if we can get this positioned correctly. Well, looks like it's going to give us a fight. The entire motor appears to be shifted slightly because of this. So, go ahead and get a pry bar, see if we can shift it over slightly, get this thing bolted up. Alright, we've got our pry bar. We'll go ahead and get this upper motor mount installed. It has sagged over the years without the upper motor mount in place. Currently, we do have my other son taking out the trash.
Oh, come on!
So, we're going to go ahead and get this motor pulled up a little bit and see if we can get this bolt in here. Then we'll tighten everything up. Now, the lower motor mount did have to be loosened in order to get this upper one in to raise the motor up. So we'll go ahead and, we got tension on it. We'll go ahead and get this started, see if we can get this bolt in there. Alright, looks like we got a couple threads on it. So let me grab my impact and see if we can get this upper one tightened.
I don't know where this goes. I'm just going to put
This impact here.
Oh, there it is.
We got that one tight. This one looks like it popped out. So this one's probably going to give us a fight. See if we can get this up a little bit more. And it looks like we are good. We got it started. We'll go ahead and get this one tightened up. Alright, we're good there. Now, through the center, we have a new through bolt that came with it. So we've got the through bolt here that needs to be tightened up as well. Got my 12mm wrench, because it is a metric bike. We'll go ahead and put that on there. Get on the other side. And we're good there. Now, we'll need to tighten this lower motor mount, which is down here. They actually sent that to me as well, but this one's here. There's nothing wrong with it. These are solid mounts. No rubber. We got that tight. Now we got that tight. Now, with the gas tank back on, we can go ahead and get this, get these plastics back on and really see what she's going to look like. Alright, now as mentioned before, this is a Phillips screw. This is what holds in the clamp for the breather line, just to keep it from vibrating around too much and popping off the top of the motor. Kawasaki loves using these. They were on all the plastics. Half of them stripped out, gets full in there, crud, corrosion, oil, and dirt over the years, so we're not going to use that. We are just going to get rid of it. We're going to replace it with a stock 10mm bolt. Be a lot easier to get out as time goes on. Now, you follow me down here, put this back underneath. It lines up perfectly. And we'll go ahead and run that 10 in there. Make sure we hold it still, get it tight, and then just fold it back over. And that holds your breather line in place. So when we got this breather line was disconnected. That's the reason for all the gunk all over the top of the motor. It was just oil vapor and sludge coming out of it. So we've got that rectified. We're going to go ahead and get the gas tank back on. Then we can start making this thing look like a bike again. Then we can move on to the fun stuff. Right, Mace?
Yeah.
Alright. So, there's 3 10mm bolts that hold this tank on. One in the back, 2 in the front. You do have to adjust the handlebars in order to do it. My compliments to my cameraman, who is actually the rider of this bike, Mr. 8-year-old Mason. He's going to be the one that is going to torture test this when we're done.
220, and I'm working on the test cover.
On the rest of it?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you saw a while ago on another video, you will see it. We were working on this, but this one is a rusted one, and we can't use rusted ones. We gotta use new ones. So we were working on that. And then the gas cover, covering it so we don't have to work on that part anymore.
All right, what are we getting ready to do?
Plastics.
Where's the plastics?
On the
We
floor.
got it right there, ready to roll.
And right behind you.
We're going to do the rear one first. Then we'll hit the front one and get that installed. We got the rear rack and rear bumper is painted. Unfortunately, I didn't get that on video, but basically what I did was cleaned it up, scuffed it down using a Scotch-Brite pad, and then used an automotive trim paint and satin blacked it. Now, for those of you wondering, Mason, how long have you been riding?
3 years.
About 3 years? All right. So you say you're pretty well experienced. You're only 8 years old, but I think you're pretty good at it.
I fell off my 80.
That's Mason's helmet right there. Tyler's skateboard.
And I fell off my Yamaha Badger 880. And it did not feel good.
And then you learned how to be safe, correct?
Yeah, I learned a valuable lesson.
You learned a valuable lesson.
Do not play Chase the Recon.
Do not play Chase the Recon. The Recon will be coming up in a future video. It's currently red, and we are going to be wrapping it in a blue digital camo. So we can't do one bike without doing the other. The other one is running and runs great, but we've got to make some changes to that. So that'll be coming later on, probably in a few months on this channel. So make sure you do subscribe. All right, Mace, let's go ahead and get these on. What do you think? All right, let's get her done. see, you saw in the time lapse, we've got the rear plastic completely installed. This is finally done. We've got the motor mount done today. We've got the plastics installed, storage cover on the back. We've got new keepers to hold it down. We've got the rear rack painted and bolted on. So we are definitely on the downward slope of getting this done for you. So I'm hoping just after the first of the year we'll have all the mechanicals done and get this thing rocking and rolling. Because if you notice, this front wheel, it needs new kingpins. And that'll be in a later video. This is not supposed to do that. Boys and girls, if your four-wheeler does this, stop riding it and get someone to fix it. This is a danger. This could kill you. Get out on a trail, you hook it wrong, something falls off, you're going to have a bad day. Remember, subscribe, watch the progress of the Kawasaki Bayou 220 coming along. We'll have this done hopefully after Christmas. We'll be able to get some video of this out in the woods. Subscribe. There's more coming.